Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about free will. Do humans possess free will? Our ability to make choices in our day-to-day lives, to act in alignment with what we truly want. So I think to do just this, we're going to talk about what is determinism, some influences and laws of nature that have an impact. I think people get choice and free will a little mixed up, and I'll clarify on the two. And additionally, our goal will be to just raise our awareness to our desires and be able to pick the ones that are in alignment with who we are, our purpose, our values, and get in the way that we want to go. So hopefully this can be helpful. I think it's going to be a really fun topic in trying to answer this question of, do humans even have a choice in this, or is it all determinism? Enjoy the morning show, folks. It's going to be a banger. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk Terror Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercises that'll make you the absolute best person you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. Good morning, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about free will, and it's maybe you've had a few desires lately or a few thoughts so pretend that you're driving your car, and then you have a random thought come out of your head. Oh, I forgot to take out the trash. Why did that person say that to me the other day? Did I forget about that meeting? So I think thoughts can come in randomly, and I think we cannot control our thoughts anymore. The initial thought, just the initial thought that's coming in, I don't believe that we can control it any better than the weather. I think the true opportunity lies in when the thought comes in. There's a space between when the thought comes in and then our reaction. This is famously expanded upon in Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He was a person who went through concentration camps and just one of the most brilliant minds. I highly recommend the book. But yeah, Viktor Frankl goes on to explain that humans have this incredible opportunity to filter what comes in and then create a space between what comes in and then what comes out, our reactions to it. So on the free will side of things, I believe that there's certain things that we cannot control. And maybe we'll start cracking out some definitions to maybe help with clarify some of the points that we're talking about. Free will. Do we have the ability to make choices? Is everything determined? So let's get into determinism. So what is determinism? I think this is in the research I've been doing, this is a very important term to knock out right off the bat. Determinism is the idea that every event or state of affairs, I'm reading off of a definition that I pulled off the internet. The idea that every event or state of affairs, including human thoughts and actions, is the result of preceding events in accordance with the laws of nature. That things are already predetermined, that it's outside of our control, such as the thoughts that are coming in. We cannot control our thoughts any more than the weather. So what is the laws of nature? So what are some influences and laws of nature? I went ahead and made a little bit of a list over here. So we can think of things that influence our free will or lack of free will, whatever side. I think there's a mix. Stick through it. We're going to write some, like a nice diagram on the board to hopefully clarify some of the thinking that we're doing today. So what are some influences to the laws of nature? This would include your genetics, like your parents. They have genetics. They pass on their genetics to you. Your grandparents pass it down. So genetics, your upbringing, how your parents just treat you. Maybe your grandma raised you. Maybe you were adopted, or whatever your story is. The people who brought you up and taught you the value system that you possess today. Your environmental factors. everything from the air that we breathe. Say if you grow up in a city, you're going to be breathing a different type of air than if you were a country farm boy, vice versa. The environment plays a huge role in this. And additionally, just brain physiology. There are no two brains that are identical. Even identical twins do not have perfectly matched brain. Blood's moving in different directions. There's so many things that influence what is really going on with consciousness. And this is the argument of like, these are some of the laws of nature's and influence on what like brings, if you have not had an experience, can you have a thought about it? This is a serious question. I think this is interesting to think about. And if you've not experienced it, can you think about it? Is there, I think even some of Carl Jung's writings, I think are really fascinating and cool, talking about how we have innate like there's this underlying subconscious that we carry over. Like what makes you really desire thirst? Like what makes you, was that from your parents or is that from like thousands of years ago of evolution? Or like what's really, are there things within us that we can still think about without ever truly experiencing? Interesting question to try and answer. And as you're kind of thinking of this, maybe you're just getting your coffee and you're starting your day and like, whoa, T-Dog, this is a little bit much. But I think this is just, our goal is to just raise awareness to the things that we can control and the things that we can't. Because I think there's a balance here, or this is at least my belief. Maybe you take the information, you do your own research, and you form what gives you peace and what makes things click for you. But the laws of nature, I think, are really fascinating. And it just gives me a lot of peace of, a lot of my desires are out of my control. Whether I desire to, I think, being homosexual, like being attracted to the same sex, that is a common desire. I think just even our favorite foods, are the activities that we like. It's all like this blend of the laws of nature between our genetics and our upbringing and environment and our brain physiology. There's so much chaos and different stuff going on. It's amazing that we even function as a society, really. And our desires are going to be influenced, and our desires are going, I think that is part of this subject of, we're talking about, good morning. Thanks for just tuning in with us this morning. Good morning, everyone. We're diving into the topic of free will and really these laws of nature influencing our desires. And hopefully we can just give ourselves a break. As Tony Robbins' wife, Sage, famously quotes, she's like, what happened to letting people off the hook? And I hope that we can let ourselves off the hook a little bit when we have some desires today, when we have a few thoughts that come in, and then we can use Viktor Frankl's advice from Man's Search for Meaning and create this, maybe just a little bit of separation between the thoughts that come in, and then we filter them through our own value system, our values and our purpose, and then we can have a better reaction to it. So if someone says something mean to you, you don't have to just fire right back. Or if, say, you're going, you're on your business calls and you don't get a sale, it doesn't influence you so heavy, and you understand it's a numbers game. There's billions of people to help, self to service, and just kind of flipping the script to what is in alignment for a happier and healthier life. So what happens a lot, I think, and this is my personal theory, this is where it starts to get into the murky waters of, there wasn't as much research to back up these theories. These are just like what I am experiencing. So take it with a grain of salt, but this is kind of, I believe that people are getting their choices mixed up with their free will, and we'll replace free will with, say, stories, say, beliefs. Have you ever heard the story that my parents did this, so I just do this? My parents smoke, so I'm just a smoker. Or my family, my parents never really were into athletics, so I'm not an athlete. Or I think there's a lot of these stories that we tell ourselves, limiting beliefs and narratives that we get mixed up, that we can actually control. There are people, I mean, Stevie Wonder, he was blind, ripping, one of the greatest musicians ever. I think we can overcome some genetic issues. I think even environmental issues. I truly believe we can overcome. So what would be another example of this? Say you're driving down the road, you're coming off of the highway, and you have an opportunity to take a right to go into the fast food place and get some unhealthy food. Or you have the opportunity to turn left and go home and cook a healthy meal at a cheaper cost. So I believe we are making, in that situation, we are influenced from we have desires to eat unhealthy because of marketing and a bunch of environmental factors. There's trillions of dollars that are dumped in for us to use and abuse things that are not healthy for us. So there's strong desires, but with the right awareness and introspection, I think we can fight these laws of nature and still have the free will to choose to turn left and to go home, to eat something healthy and to save money. So we can invest in our future, we can invest in our family and do things that would be more meaningful with that amount of capital. So I think we get this mixed up a lot we tell ourselves that, oh, well, it's kind of always been this way, or I've always been this way. And we're kind of in a rock and a hard place where it's just very difficult, but it's still, we are able to overcome. Versus, I've also heard a lot, and this is from personal experience, I used to beat myself up all the time because I would have the same recurring negative thoughts. I'd be beating myself up. Like, I keep thinking this, or I keep falling into this thought loop. Like, what is wrong with me? Why do I do this? When I can't even control that, because we can't control our thoughts as much as we can control the weather. And even the weather people, they don't even know what they're talking about. They're being paid to be wrong. Pretty good gig, I would say. But we can't control our thoughts, but we're like, why am I not happy? Why am I like, I should be thinking I have so much to be grateful for. I have all this good stuff to be excited about. And I keep beating myself up for it, even when we can't even control that. The thoughts that are coming in, because they're coming in from left field, from right field. We have no idea even where they're coming from, right? Maybe Carl Jung's writings on like this deep layer, the shadow of subconscious, that it's, who the hell knows where this has really come from. We can't control that, but we believe that it's our fault for having that, when the laws of nature and the influences that we were just talking about, we cannot control that. Versus we can control how we react. We can control to the desires that come up. And I believe that desires are embedded. So coming into our goal, I believe that our desire to just indulge in the moment. There's something, I believe that humans were not prepared for a country, a nation like America, where it would be full abundance all the time. I just last night, I had the privilege of going and recording one of my client's speeches. He's Filipino, and his parents grew up in the Philippines, and his family came over to America, and they had a really hard time when they first came over here, because they went from poverty, working in the fields nonstop, like very, very rough upbringing, like digging pots. Like that's where they went to the bathroom, no like plumbing and that kind of stuff. So thank God for toilets. One of the greatest things in modern plumbing. Shout out to the OGs who created that. But they came over to America, and they really overindulged in food, alcohol, nicotine products, just smoking. And I think we have these like desires to just try and get the most out of it while we can, because in the past, in evolution, we haven't had the opportunity. Starvation is still a huge problem in the world. It's not in America. We're actually 50% of our country is overweight, which is mind-boggling to think. Half the people are over. I think there's subject to terms on like what is overweight, what is not. I mean, personally, I mean, women are supposed to have more fat on their bodies so they can produce healthy babies. So there's a few things to contend with that. But regardless, we have an abundance of food and we're overeating. That is a fact, undeniable. So we're overeating. I believe that we weren't really prepared for that. And our desires are so strong because we've been conditioned with that. I did a 36-hour fast the other day. And one of my favorite things about fasting is I am blown away with how crazy the influence on they want you to eat. You eat to socialize, you eat to nurture yourself, you eat to just feel part of the tribe. You eat to learn, whether you're learning how to cook, it's the influences of indulgence. You drive down the road, you can't go more than 100 feet without seeing signs for things, depending on where you live, right? Whether it's food or the tobacco vape stores or this, there's always something kind of pulling at us. And that's something that's so crazy to me, that we have such strong desires and that we can't really control where these desires are coming from. But we can influence, I believe, the strength of the desires by conditioning our will to say no to things that are not in alignment with what we really want. So, for example, your goal is to lose 10 pounds. You've decided that you want to lose 10 pounds. And because your purpose for doing this is because you want to set the example for your children, you want to set the example for your family, because you got to have a strong purpose or this stuff doesn't work. I've really tried. It's the purpose behind it. It helps so much. You want to lose 10 pounds. And so you're going to do it because you want to set the example for your friends, for your family, that you can make the choices and sacrifices to be a happier and healthier person in hopes that they will do it as well. So we have desires coming in that we can't really control because of determinism that we talked about earlier. We talked about the influence of nature, that kind of stuff. There's certain desires that we're not going to be able to control. It's coming in. The thoughts and the desires are coming in like a storm. And our opportunity today as humans, as we're thinking, maybe we're drinking our coffee, we're journaling a little bit this morning, we're like thinking, okay, this stuff's coming in like a tsunami. And we got to be able to build shelter and protect ourselves and think, okay, no, this is what I want. And the purpose acts as the fortress to fight off the urge to act out of alignment with our values and our purpose. So we have our values, we have our purpose that are protecting us in this made up situation from the tsunami coming in. And then the tsunami comes in and then it washes away. And then we come out in this euphoric feeling. So I want you to think of a time when you did something hard, when you decided I was going to go back to school, when you decided to go get that workout in, when you didn't feel like it, when you decided to eat something healthy instead of indulging in something that made you feel like crap 10 minutes later. Think of those times and think of how you felt afterwards. And did you gain? Humans want evidence. Humans, it's one of our downfalls is that's why social proof in business, and this is something I really want to improve on, is more testimonials, more social proof. Why do we buy things? Because there's 10,000 reviews on Amazon. They said it was good. Okay, I believe them. We're social creatures like that. Testimonials, that type of stuff. It's amazing for business. So we need evidence. So I think we can have an opportunity to give ourselves more evidence. And I think free will could almost act like a muscle. It's the push-ups of the mind. We can continue to train ourselves. The power of no. I will say no to this today because it will not serve me tomorrow. We don't have to go through life and say no to absolutely everything. I get it. There's things. I had a great day yesterday. I got out of the house. I got to go to university. I got to shake hands with a bunch of fun people. And then I had a small glass of wine when I came home. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Small indulgences every now and then. Had that experience, and now it's like, okay, I'm back on track. I'm doing my thing, and I feel good about it. But when we overindulge, think of if you were to, you can pick any meal that you want. You can pick any meal that you want. You want a steak dinner? You want like Thanksgiving dinner? I want you to eat it every meal going forward, and it loses its lust. There's something crazy about indulgence and how it's really never enough, because I believe that's not really what we want. I believe true satisfaction comes from building this muscle of free will and getting a better understanding of raising our awareness to our desires. What are the things that we really want? And are your desires yours, or are they the chaos of the universe? I know that sounds a little weird and a little bit much here at 8 in the morning, but hear me out. You have the desires come in, and a lot of them you can't even control. And so we don't want to act off of these random thoughts and desires, versus we want to act in alignment with what we truly want and desire. Like, what do you really want? Do you want to be healthy? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to start a business? Like, what are the things that you really want? And what is a list of action items that can give you the evidence, that can build that muscle of free will in order to keep moving forward? Because if you're not growing, we're dying. It's Dr. Wayne Dyer's analogy. I will use it again and again and again. If you look at a plant under a microscope, if it ain't growing, it's dying. And I believe humans are no different when it comes to how we handle our desires, how we react. Not worrying about, not saying like, oh man, I keep having these thoughts, telling myself these stories. I've always been a drinker. I've always been a smoker. It's just how it is. This idea of I've been this way, so I can't change. Oh, you're going to change. It's just you're going to be dying and not growing. And we want to be very careful of that. I personally want to live a really long, healthy life. I don't know about you guys, but so we can't control these thoughts. I believe that free will is out the window for that. I believe that we can continue to influence it, but I don't believe that we can control it. We can't control our thoughts and emotions no more than the weather. An exercise I've done with clients in the past is I want you to write down the emotion that you feel in the present moment randomly when I shoot you a message. So I'm texting these people at like 10 a.m., at 2:30 p.m., at 4 p.m., at 4:15 p.m., and you would be blown away the range of emotions that we feel in a given day. You'd be like, if you just looked at it on paper, you'd be like, this person's a psychopath. And I believe humans are insane. And I think there's a lot of things that we can't control. But what we can control is what Viktor Frankl, I keep referring back to him, shout out to the OG, this space. How will you react? So we can't control what's coming in, but I think there's this muscle that we can build of free will. We can strengthen it over time. And as we strengthen it, I believe we can filter better out and react better. I have a desire to eat that donut. No, sir, I'm going to go work out. I have a desire to watch television. No, sir, I'm going to go read this book. I just got this book, Profiles in Courage by Robert JFK, forward by Robert Kennedy. And nope, not going to watch television tonight. I'm going to read this book because it's going to sharpen me. It's going to help me. It's in alignment with who I really want to be. Interesting. So that was really the main points on idea of what I had. So just to give a quick update, run through. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for tuning into the show this morning. We talked about, do humans have free will? Do we have a choice in this whole craziness of life? We talked about what is determinism, and really that's it's a result of preceding events in accordance with laws of nature. We talked about laws of nature, and this would be genetics, upbringing, environment, brain physiology, that type of stuff. We talked about the difference between choice and free will, mixing up those stories and also our reactions to these stories, and raising awareness to our desires. So be careful of those dangerous desires, because humans just want to survive. They don't want to be happy. Shout out to Tony Robbins on that one. So be very careful of this. And if we can just take one step forward every day, where does that compound to? I look at my life just a year ago, and I'm like, holy crap, who the hell even is that guy? Who was that Tanner? Who was that T-Dog? And now I'm excited. I'm becoming like super T-Dog, and I hope you do too. Just continue to build that muscle of free will, because I don't believe that we can control it, but I believe that we can influence it. Maybe you can't control where you were brought up. Maybe you couldn't control your environment as a child. That's very true. And I'm sure that's going to have a major impact on your desires as an adult. Our inner child, we're all children. A concept of adulting is, I think, a bunch of crap. We're all just kids with grown up bodies. And so as you grow, you couldn't control who you don't get to pick who your parents are, unfortunately, right? Because it's really hard to get two good ones. So you don't pick who your parents are, but as you grow and you gain awareness and you immerse yourself and you surround yourself with people who have similar desires, who have values of having rich relationships, who have desires to like grow their wealth, who have desires to have strong and healthy physical bodies. As we immerse ourselves with them, I believe the desires to do the bad shrink and the desire to do good increases. And I think we want to keep swinging in the momentum of who we are, what we value, why we do what we do. Formulate a purpose. If you have a hard time creating a purpose, I know that was one of the, why do you do what you do? I struggled on that question for literal years. So I created a framework to help with that. If you're ever interested, you can book a call. There's a description. There's a link in the description below if you want to ever book a call with me, if you want to learn more about my business. I essentially help people on social media create a strong personal brand. I want to close the gap. So I believe there's a gap between who you authentically are and how you present yourself in the online space. Fortunately, unfortunately, people judge you from the online space. So I just want to help people with that. Close the gap, authentic personal brands online, so you can grow your business, so you can achieve your goals, and you can be and show up both in person and online authentically and consistently. All right, folks, that's all I have for today. That was really fun. We got to talk about free will. And I guess if you wrapped it up in just like a few words, I would say there's no right answer. There's only your answer. Hopefully that's not confusing. That was kind of confusing to me for a long time. But there's not going to be perfect answer. You're going to have different desires than I do, but you just got to be able, you have to see them. I cannot see them for you. You have to use your eyes. You have to use your spirit and understanding. See those desires and be able to create like this ability to just filter, raise awareness to it, and then react in accordance to what you want to do. It gets easier over time, right? Everything's hard at first, but Tony Robbins, go figure. Another quote from him: nobody was proud of the path of least resistance. Nobody has been proud of the path of least resistance. So stuff's going to be tough, but that means it's probably good. So cheers to that. Cheers to free will, making good choices today, and just hearing those desires, giving ourselves permission. Okay, I have these weird random thoughts. That's okay. That's cool. But I'm going to react differently today. So cheers to you all. I love you all. Thanks for tuning into the show. As always, make sure to tune in. We always go live 8 a.m. Central Standard Time with just tips, tricks, and ideas to help you be happier and healthier. Realistically, I use this stuff. I'm trying to make myself as happy, as healthy as possible too. So it's been really fun. This was episode 461, road to 1,000. We ain't stopping for nothing. Weekday mornings, 8 a.m. live Central Standard Time. Make sure to tell your friends about the show. Check us out. But you guys have a great day. In case you need to hear it, I love you. You got this. You're a badass. Let's have an incredible, incredible Wednesday. And I will see you bright and early, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow morning. Peace, folks. I'm out of here. Free will. Is it a choice? Who knows? Up for us to decide.